Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Living Simply and Fun. I'm your host. This is another Rita edition. Aaron doesn't like to review books much, or movies, or whatever. We got several movies we got to review, but it's not time. So, first of all, Fly Fishing for Sea-Run Cutthroat. This book was just borrowed from the library. They bought it personally for me. And I got to return it. I read it. The librarian's going to be pissed. I didn't have it a full month. So, here's the contents. For start, springtime with chum babies. The life cycle of sea-run cuts. Living with the tides, unlocking the tides, and fishing the right beach on the wrong tide. Summer, an early June evening with the cuts. How to find and learn a good beach. June, sand lamps, rigging up. A new friend and new water. Fall. Temptation of done protein, major foods, freshwater sea-run, lucky steelhead, and comeupiants. Minor foods and tactics, chum pink swarms and coho madness. Winter. Fishing for faith on cold mornings, dancing with the currents, fishing tactics, feeding the pain during the cruel season, flies, and feeding the fever, and then index. First of all, I thought this book would be a book about cutthroats and rivers. Turns out it's basically like in the ocean, the Puget Sound, for example, the Straits of Juan de Fuca, Oregon, California beaches, Alaska, Canada, those areas. Now, the book isn't bad. The book is pretty good for stack pole books. My problem is I thought this would be a good book for sea-run cutthroat trout. Turns out they're not. These are only good for, if you're fly fishing in the ocean. Me, I was disappointed. I read it anyways, and then after I read it, I said, it's not a bad book, but it ain't a good book. If it was a bad book, we'd have something wrong, but instead, it wasn't a good book. So, the pictures are really nice, fully detailed. It's kind of wordy at times, and the guy talks about how to spot them, but in waters and stuff, it's not good, in my opinion. It's like the worst book for trout in the world, for fishing.
No. The thing is, you didn't quite know what sea-run meant. It doesn't mean cutthroat out in the rivers heading towards the sea. It means cutthroat that have already made it to the sea.
Yeah.
And they're just going out to sea. So you're trying to catch them as they go out before they've really gotten out. At least that's how I would have interpreted it, and what you're looking for is river fishing for cutthroat.
Yeah, cutthroat for
so
rivers.
So it wasn't what you were looking for. It's not that it was a bad book or a good book. It's just not what you were looking for.
The guy did not know how to write this properly, in my opinion.
Why, because he didn't know what sea-run meant?
No, this is what he said is sea-run, as in cutthroats that are living in the ocean.
Oh.
Yes, on the coast. And how to find them in the coast, like in beaches and so forth.
That's pretty much what I would assume that it would have meant.
Now, what I thought sea-run cutthroat meant was cutthroat that came back like steelheads that went into the rivers to spawn, like a lot of these places like Montana has cutthroats. Or there's cutthroats in lakes. But, turns out I was completely wrong. So, I just want to share that with you all. That this book, I give it a 3, just because it's a good fly fishing book if you're into it. But if you look it over carefully, you'll understand that it's an interesting book, and it'll tell you, etc. One of the things I didn't really like is it didn't talk about the equipment, what you needed for sea-run cutthroat. Otherwise, it's a good book, and I highly recommend it anyways, even though I wasn't impressed. I will be giving my review on Amazon, and that will be that. So, 3 stars. It is good for fly fishing. That's why I give it 3. For me, it wasn't my cup of tea. So, but to anyone out there who wants ocean fishing besides salmon or other fish that are in the sea like dorado, bonefish, red snapper, etc., go for it. Try your luck at it. That's all I could say. So, for the rest of you, I hope this video run on fly fishing for Sea-Run Cutthroats was good. In my opinion, it's not bad. I give it 3 stars. Amazon's got it brand new. If you're interested in Sea-Run Cutthroat, I highly recommend it. Don't get turned off by the price. The guy is very good. His name is Chester Allen, and I can't find any fault in his writing. It's just not what I was expecting for a book. With that said, please add and subscribe. Please post comments in the box. Please leave feedback, suggestions, and may God bless the world.